Hey guys, it's been a while since I've posted anything with my N-Scale project, so I thought I'd share something that I'm working on right now. This is a Kato mid-production SD40-2 that I picked up. It was originally painted in the BNSF orange and black swoosh scheme, but I'm painting it to Norfolk Southern 34-74, which used to work out of my local yard. One of the things that I think is really fun about this locomotive in particular is that it has a nose-mounted headlight, versus the vast majority of Norfolk Southern's headlights on their locomotives, which are located above the cab. At the time of this video, there are only 2 or 3 locomotives in their roster that have nose-mounted headlight. I wasn't planning on making a video on this one, so I already stripped the paint and got 1 layer of black paint on this part at least. I still need to strip the paint and paint that part black and the handrails as well. And then I've got my shell scale decals here, all the different various locomotive decals. I also have these brand new number board decals that are set up to be transparent, and you just insert numbers into each slot of the number board there. And these are for backlit. And then I've also got a set of these that are for the non-backlit numbers that aren't going to let any light through for the back of the locomotive. I'm really excited to give those a try. So anyway, well, let's go. First off, I've printed reference photos. I always like having physical reference photos for any project that I work on. I've also stripped the paint from and have painted this part black. It's got a dull coat on it. Needs a little more work, but that's looking great. I've got the cab all masked off, and you can see I've painted above the number board area has been painted white to match the prototype. I'll probably pull the tape off this evening and see if I need to do any touching up there. Also, I have picked up some detail parts. These are from Putman Locomotive Detail Parts. I've never used their parts before, but they look really nice. And these are some 3D printed with resin. At first I've got the split PTC antenna array to match the prototype. And then I've just got a pair of these Dayton Phoenix air conditioner units. Also look really nice. All right, I got one last coat of paint on the shell. I've got my main decals set, ready to go. Got my warm water, and I have my reference photos. So let's get some decals on this. All right, well, that's it for the primary decals here. I am going to set this aside and let that dry, let some of the bubbles continue to work out. And I'm going to focus a little bit on the cab for now. All right, back with the cab again. The first thing I'm going to do is try to get these number boards back in. Well, that was actually a lot easier than I expected. Next, I'm going to put another quick layer of dull coat on, and then it's on to decals. Well, it's been a couple of days since I applied these decals. As you can see, they still need to conform a little bit to the locomotive body, all the different shapes. So I'm going to apply some of this microsol, and they should soften up and conform a little bit better. Next up, I've got some water slide decals. I'm going to start working on the white stripes that go along the sill on either side here. Well, there's one side done. I will let that dry and probably give it a coat of a dull coat before cutting the notches out between each handrail. And I'm also going to let it dry before trying to decal the other side. But not the worst, maybe not the best, but good enough for me. And here's the main body after a layer of microsol on the decals. This sat for maybe 20 minutes. You can see they just conform to the body so much better. I'll still do another layer, but I'm really liking how that's looking so far. I'm going to work on the cab a little bit here as well. I've got these decals that I showed earlier for masking out the for the backlit numbers, and I will put a couple of these on, and then I'll dull coat and add numbers later. All right, it's been a couple more days, still working on the decals, a couple more layers of dull coat, and you can see these are really starting to look like they've been painted onto the locomotive. I have added some of the number board decals on the front, if I can get some without the glare there. I tried adding the numbers in between, and the decal edges were making it difficult shoving each other around, so I got a couple non-neighboring numbers on each side, and I will add some dull coat to seal those in, and then I'll follow up with a couple more decals. And I've also added the stripes along the sill on either side. So still working on the cab, just kind of slowly adding a little bit here and there. Well, this is embarrassing. I last worked on this locomotive in March of 2024. It is now January 16th, 2025. And I just picked it back up and have been working on some of the decals again. As you can see here, I've got the front number boards completed, and then on the back have these number boards finished as well. So I have also put a layer of dull coat on, so it is ready to be reassembled. Well, progress continues. I did get the shell back together, and even painted the end of the handrails yellow to match the prototype. I will have to go over it with dull coat again, as I accidentally removed these decals on this side. And next I've got the PTC antenna array and the air conditioning unit that I'm going to install on the roof. It's not a particularly interesting technique, but as far as mounting these pieces, I just get them in the tweezers here. These self-closing tweezers, got the air conditioning unit there, figure out roughly where I want to place it, and then flip that over. And I've got a pin and a little bit of super glue. Just get a little bit on the pin and just dab just a little bit around the perimeter of the air conditioning unit. And I'll try to get this in place. Getting it square is the hard part. And of course the same technique for the PTC antenna. Doesn't require a ton of glue, but I also don't want to give it too little. Looks good. As you can see, I got the decals back on the right side of the numbers. I've also started reassembling some of the detail parts. The MU hoses, the horn is back on, and I did add a few decals around the body of the locomotive as well, just a few minor warning decals and so on. Also, these just came in the mail. I got the Micro Trains couplers. Kind of cheated this time around and got the pre-assembled couplers. Normally I assemble them myself, but have those ready to go in. And last but not least, picked up this TCS K1D4 decoder. This is not a sound decoder, but I'm always really happy with how these TCS decoders work in my locomotive. So very happily purchased one of their products again. So today's goal is just to get the couplers and decoder installed, and then get everything back together and get it on the tracks. Well guys, I am pleased to say that this one is finished. I've got the decoder installed now, and she runs and drives as expected. Lighting functionality works. and I've got her programmed to the 3474 road number. As you can see, the number boards above the cab there, the light bleeds through a little bit more than I was hoping for. I might fill in a little bit with black ink or with a bit of black paint, but I might just leave it as is. Anyway, I'm really happy with this one, how it turned out, and thank you so much for watching, and we'll hopefully see you again with another N-Scale project very soon.